People are left with water destroying their homes.
And with all that water, mold and mildew will become a major problem as the homeowners attempt to dry out.
And we are joined now by Keith Sampson, President and CEO of SRP Environmental. Keith, thank you so much for being here. My first question is, before we talk about prevention and treatment, let's talk about how the mold is formed. Is it like in school, dark, wet places?
It seems to flourish in those areas. I mean, we live in Louisiana, so you're going to have mold, pretty much everywhere. But the moisture that you find in these homes, the excess moisture is causing a lot of problems.
We got reports of 300 homes in Caddo, 100 over in Bossier. That's the numbers from the sheriff's office, impacted somehow with water. Should all 400 homeowners assume I'm going to have a mold problem just because I had water in my home?
Not necessarily. The most important thing is to get in there and get it dried out as quickly as possible. You have porous materials like sheetrock and wallboard that'll probably have to be torn out. You have semi-porous materials that can actually be treated and encapsulated if they're in good shape. So,
what about jumping to the possibility of getting air testing inside of the home?
Typically what you'll do is have air testing done if you see visible mold,
okay,
or if it's been sitting for a while. People who have concerns about health effects, resale value on homes and buildings, they'll want to go ahead and get that checked.
Acting quickly, you said, is a key here. There's some folks that have had water in their homes for pushing 2 weeks now. Do they still have time once the water goes down to do all these things to prevent and maybe cut some bottom sheetrock out, start drying, and will that be enough time for to make a difference?
It will. The sooner you get in there, as soon as the floodwaters recede, the more effective it's going to be. In Louisiana, there's a mold law, whereas if you are using a contractor to tear the mold out, they have to be licensed by the State Board of Contractors, so you'll want to make sure you look at that as well.
A lot of people will resort to trying to clean the mold themselves with bleach, part water. Do you recommend that, or should they just leave it up to the professionals?
Probably leave it up to the professionals unless it's a really small area.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue you're going to run into is trying to determine what has to be torn out, what you're going to leave, and doing post-clearance testing.
All right, well, we appreciate it. I know.
Thank you.
I would only imagine your company is the phone's starting to ring as the water.
Busy.
I imagine so, and just keep it reputable. And that's the biggest thing is you get in a situation like this, making sure you got somebody you can trust.
I have one quick question before we leave. Give us a range of how much this costs, because people want to know, especially if they don't have flood insurance, what are they looking at?
It's hard to say depending on the amount of damage, the type of materials that's there, how long it's been sitting. One of the big problems that people are going to run into right now is not only the mold and mildew, the microbial issues, but you have a lot of wastewater and bacteria in the water. And so that can really add to the problem.
All right, well, Keith Sampson, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming in, help answering some of those questions.